Welcome to LiveDaf, your online Daf Yomi Shir.
Shalom Aleichem, welcome back to today's Daf, BECHOROS Daf Tes. We begin at the Mishnah, which is around 8-9 lines from the top of the Amud. We have a fellow who owns a chamoira. Okay, so it's a female donkey. Shaloi bichra. Shaloi bichra comes from bechor, right? She had never yet given birth. Shaloi bichra. So this is her first. In which case, if it's a male offspring, that firstborn donkey is considered petach hamor. It has kedusha, requires pidyon, must be redeemed with a seh, right? A sheep, a goat. Chamoira shaloi bikra. So he has this chamoira who's birthing for the first time. V'yolda shnei zecharim, and she births 2 male donkeys. We only consider one to be firstborn, and therefore noising tola echad l'koyin. The owner has to forward 1 tleh, 1 sheep to the koyin in exchange for that firstborn. So we don't give them both firstborn status, as we're going to see in the Gemara. It's just one or the other, in which case he redeems one, wherever he is, and he gives that tleh to the koyin. So even though he can't really identify which one it is, the pidyon works on whichever one is the first. Now let's say this same donkey gives birth for the first time to twin donkeys of both genders, zachar and unekeva. In this case, he's not really sure if there is even one obligation, because perhaps he wasn't around to witness the birth. He doesn't know which one was. Perhaps it was the nekeva that came first, in which case the zachar that followed as number 2 will not be considered petach hamor. There's no requirement for pidyon, but maybe there is. Now we have to realize in the pidyon petach hamor process, there's really a double element. There's the isser factor, which is sort of between man and Hashem, ben adam l'malkaim, right? And then there is, which requires redemption, requires a pidyon to happen. But then there's something called the mamonus, the financial element within this whole system, which is that you owe that goat, that sheep that was used to exchange the petach hamor, you owe that to the kohen. Now let's say you have an uncertainty, you have a suffix, such as in this case, I'm not sure whether I'm obligated or not, whether there is even a firstborn male donkey or not. So on the one hand, whenever we have a suffix regarding matters of Isur, we have to be stringent. We have to cover all possibilities. So he has to make that pidyon, just in case. But he does not have to give it to the kohen. He can keep it. The owner keeps the sheep used to swap the petach hamor, the possible petach hamor. Mafresh tola echad la'atzma. He designates a tleh. Rashi says mishum safek, because it's a safek. Rashi says mafkil of kedushas petach hamor, on which he transfers the kedusha, meaning he swaps it for the petach hamor, if in fact there is one, and he keeps it. Mafresh tola echad la'atzma. Next case, shtei chamoira shlei bikri. He has 2 donkeys giving birth for the first time. Yoldu shnei zecharim. And he ends up with 2 male offspring. So he knows. He has 2 petach hamors. Noisin shneit loim l'koyin. He forwards the 2 sheep to the koyin. No question there. Zachar nekeva. He comes back to the barn. He finds 1 male, 1 female. Or 2 males and 1 female. In this case, there's only 1 male petach hamor. Noisin tlech l'koyin. He forwards 1 tlech to the koyin in exchange for the petach hamor. But let's say these 2 donkeys gave birth to a crop of offspring as follows: shtei nekevos v'zachar, 2 females and a zachar. In which case, maybe both donkeys gave birth to the female first. Meaning, even the one that had the nekeva and the zachar, maybe it was nekeva and zachar in that order. So there really is no chiv at all. Furthermore, he comes back to the barn. He finds a double set of twins, 2 males and 2 females. He doesn't know who gave birth to what. Ein kan l'kohen klum. In this case, the kohen gets nothing. Because it's very possible that there was no firstborn male. But as Rashi points out, the owner still has to set aside the tleh and make the swap. Rashi says actually he has to do 2 swaps, just in case there were 2 firstborns, but since it's a suffix, he can keep it. Next case, achas bikru v'achas le bikru. He has 2 donkeys. One, it's not her first time, and one, it's her first time. Yarda shnei scharim. And he comes back and he finds two males, one giving birth by each of these donkeys. So he knows one of them is a petach hamor, one goes to the kohen. Zocher nekeva comes back and he finds male and female. Perhaps the male came from the veteran mother and the female came from the first time mother, in which case there was no petach hamor requirement. Once again, mafresh le'ech la'atzmo, he has to make a pidyon just in case, but he keeps the sheep. Shnemar, how do we know that in fact the pidyon petach hamor takes place with a seh? Shnemar u petach hamor tivdeh, you exchange it with a biseh. Now seh as a general term relates to sheep, relates to goats. Min akvasim can be from sheep. Menaizim from goats. Zachar nekeva, male, female. There's no gender or size or age or value limitation here. Zachar nekeva, gadol v'katna could be a big one, a small one, plamim balmum, unblemished, blemished. Upoyde b'pamim harbe. You can actually use the same sheep many times over. Rashi explains. Let's say you deliver it to the kohen. Now it's his. It's his own personal belonging. He can give it back. He can sell. He said, "Look, I'm not a farmer. I don't know how to raise animals. Please do me a favor, take it back." And he sells it back to the farmer. The farmer can now recycle that same seh many times. Nichnas ladirlis aser v'meis nen boy. This will be discussed in the Gemara. Now the Mishnah began with double header, right? Chamer shle bikra, first time birther, and out come 2 male donkeys. Only one is a petach hamor. The question is why? Why not both? Perhaps they both came out simultaneously. A double header, literally. Mantana, who's voicing this opinion in the Mishnah? Amar b'Yirmiyah to look Rabbi Seglili. It's not Rabbi Seglili, because according to him, he's speaking about actually kosher firstborn animals, and he says there's a double header. They're both going to the kohen because it's possible they both came out simultaneously. Efshal et samtzeim, it could happen, and they both have kedusha. Our Mishnah apparently disagrees. It's not likely that it came out together. Efshal et sam, we don't assume that it came together. It was sequential, in which case one is in and one is out. Amar Rabbi Seglili, the Rabbi Seglili, because according to him, Amar, he tells us Efshal et samtzim. It's possible that it should be an exact simultaneous double birth. Amar Abayi, no, I feel Rabbi Seglili. Guess what? Even Rabbi Seglili would agree in our case, only one is kaddish. Shani Hasan Dechsiv Hascharim Lashem. Because it's only by the kosher firstborn where both become kaddish, because the pasuk relates to it as a plural hazocharim. Even a double header, both will be kaddish, as opposed to petach hamor, where only one is kaddish, even if it's an actual double header. Well, why can't we learn petach hamor from the other halacha of Bechor? The pasuk says hazocharim. The extra hay limits it to only first kosher borns. Ika di amri. There's another version of this discussion. Lema, perhaps we can suggest that our Mishnah, that doesn't apply kedusha to both in a double header situation, the loy is unlike Rabbi Seglili, because Rabbi Seglili, because according to him, Amar tells us Efshal et samtzim, you can have a double header. Amar Abaye, Afil Tim Rabbi Seglili. Well, actually, even according to him, here it's different, because here it's petach hamor, shani hasim dechsiv hazocharim lashem. It's only by the firstborn kosher animals, but not over here. So again, the Mishnah describes a double header where only one is kaddish. According to Abaye, it could be consistent with the Rabbi Seglili as well. According to Rabbi Yirmiyah, no. According to Rabbi Seglili, of course, both will be kaddish. And now Mishnah is not following that shita. Continues to go. Rabbi Yirmiyah. So certainly according to Rabbi Yirmiyah, the loy muki like Rabbi Seglili. He doesn't identify the Mishnah of ours with Rabbi Seglili's position. In fact, our Mishnah holds it's not feasible to assume that it came out together. That explains the difference in in Lashon, in wordology. In the Mishnah over there with the double header by the firstborn kosher, it says V'yotzu shnei rashem ke'echad. Both their heads emerged at the same time, because it's going like basically that it's possible. But our Mishnah does not refer to such a term, because our Mishnah is reflective of the Rabbanon, who don't consider that to be a practical theory. Hainu d'loktani v'yotzu shnei rashem ke'echad. El Abaye, but according to Abaye, that our Mishnah can be full and well like Rabbi Aglili, who says you can have a simultaneous double header. The reason why there's no double kedusha is because Petach Hamar is different. Okay, so but why doesn't the Mishnah refer to the same language? Just describe it as a double header if that's possible. Allah Abaye listening should say v'yotzu shnei rashem ke'echad. V'oitani, another question we have. On Abaye, who says that Rabbi Aglili would differentiate, he would say that Petach Hamar, even if it's a simultaneous double header, there's no double kedusha. We have a brisa which says clearly otherwise, quoting Rabbi Aglili by name actually. V'oitani chamor shalei BECHOROS. So it's her first time birthing. V'yolda shnei scharim. She birthed 2 males. V'yotzu shnei rashem ke'echad. It's an actual double header. Rabbi Aglili Eimer shneim l'kayin. They both belong to the kayin. Shneimar scharim l'Hashem. It's even both. Now, actually, this pasuk, Hascharim L'Hashem, a minute ago we related that pasuk to the other type of bukhar that was in the context of the firstborn kosher animal. So why does the Brisa cite that pasuk of the kosher animal with respect to the halacha of the Petach Hamar? 2 separate. But this pasuk that you're quoting as a source for Petach Hamar is actually Bakdush Saguf. That's in the context of a firstborn kosher animal, which is inherently kosher for the Mizbeach. That's where it's cited. So we have to revise the Brisa a bit. Ela mishum, instead of shenamar, mishum shenamar hascharim l'Hashem. Just like over there, a double header has double kedusha, we equate Petach Hamar to that as well. We compare Petach Hamar to firstborn kosher, and just like over there, you can have a double header, double kedusha here as well. Clearly, BECHOROS disagrees with the halacha in our Mishnah. He says you can have a double header and they're both kaddish. So in fact, this is unlike Abaye Tiyufta. It's a refutation of Abaye Tiyufta. Now we're Rabbanon. We turn to Talmud Bavli. Rabbanon who say, no, there's no such thing as an actual double header. Inevitably, one came out first, one followed. Fine, okay. So one is kaddish, but even that, why is that one kaddish? A petah rechem has to be expelled, has to emerge from the rechem and have contact with the walls of the womb as it's emerging. But here there's a chatzitza, there's a barrier. His brother alongside him is getting in the way. True, he's lagging behind, but the fact is he is being chaytzitz. He's separating between the firstborn and the walls of the womb. Rabbanon should the Rabbanon have to hold that miktsas rechem magdish, that even partial contact with the rechem is enough to give it kedusha, because you don't have the whole thing. Dikol rechem magdish, because if the entire womb is required for generating kedusha on the firstborn, you don't have that. Nid yishal etzamden. True. Let's not assume that both came out simultaneously. Fine, one went ahead, one went behind. But what about the chatzitza factor? Chatzitza meyeika. Amarav, no issue. Min b'minei nechayt. It's 2 items of the same type of material, same type of status. Don't, interfere with each other. It's all one, happy family. Now, Rabbi Aglili actually, Rashi actually points out, according to Rabbi Aglili, this whole question never began. There was no issue to begin with. Because really you can ask the same thing. I mean, fine, they're both coming out together simultaneously, it's a double header, they're both colored, but inevitably one is interfering with the other from making direct contact with the. So Rashi says that's not an issue. Why? Listen to the lashon of Rashi on the 4th line from the top. The kivun the tarvayu kachuk chadom. Since they're both kaddish, it is certainly one entity, one experience of one entity. There's no issue of chatzitz. The question was, according to Rabbanon, that only one is kaddish and one is not. That second one gets in the way. The answer is min b'mina ein chatzitz. Zochar nekeva mafresh tala b'chul. So when there is an uncertainty regarding what happened there, the male or female, he must designate a sheep and do a swap, but he keeps it. And the obvious question is, if he's going to keep it anyways, why bother doing the process? Why does he have to designate and lafkui l'isurimine to remove the isser? As we explained, there are two elements to address. Is the isser, which is personal, that he has to do regardless of whether or not the kohen is deserving of that. And then the question of forwarding it to the kohen. From that, he's exempt. But step one, he has to do alma. So what do we see from here? He's required to address the isser inherent in the petach hamor, irrespective of the financial element. Apparently, prior to removing the isser through the swapping process, he can't have any benefit from the animal. And that's what he's trying to address and resolve. Apparently, Amish is following Rabbi Yehuda. It's a big much like us. Yeah, you have to do petach hamor. But what happens if you don't? What happens until you do it? Is a donkey off limits? Could you use it? Or what do we say? Listen, it's your personal belonging. You have to do what you have to do. You're obligated. It doesn't make it usher. Big machlokes. How much this seems to indicate that it's usher, and that's what he's trying to address and resolve. Usher bano masis man Rabbi Yehuda. It's Rabbi Yehuda speaking the Sanya. Petach hamor usher bano. Did Rabbi Yehuda? There's a girl to Rabbi Yehuda. We just says a petach hamor prior to redemption is usher bano. Rabbi Shimon Matur says it's okay. You can use it, although you meant to swap it, but you can still use it. My time with Rabbi Yehuda. Why does Rabbi Yehuda apply an isser? Where's it coming from? Ama'ula. It's plain logic. Do you ever find something which requires pediyah, requires to experience a redemption process? You know, like we have hegdish, we have other things. You have to be paida, and until you do pediyah, it's asr b'hana. The pediyah relieves it of its isser. Likewise, we'll assume the fact that a petach hamor needs pediyah indicates that it's asr until that point. Do you find something which requires a pidyon and it should be accessible and usable prior to pidyon as well? Unlikely. Says the Gemara, you don't find any precedent? Adam, Mazel tov, the firstborn son, he needs pidyon aben, but you can still interact with him. So that sort of contravenes your theory. Ella, rather, we'll revise it a bit. Here the Torah is very specific in its requirements. You have to be paid with a sen. It's a very specific process. So we'll assume the fact that Torah is so specific that really it's usher until you do that. Ella, yesh lecha davar shekpida lav Torah b'seh. You find me another example of something which the Torah requires a seh only, umuta, and it could be used before the pidyon? Mikpida, really? Is there a specific requirement to use a seh? You can use a chicken soup if it matches the value of the chamor. Umikpida v'arav nacham breder of Yosef. You know what he did with his firstborn donkey? Parklei b'shulk. He redeemed it with cooked vegetables. B'shavia, because it was worth exactly the value of it matched the value of the donkey. Right? So you see, the Torah is not very demanding in terms of what to use. Parklei b'shulki b'shavia. Says the Gemara, b'shavia l'kamrinan. Of course, if it matches the value, of course, there's no discussion. You can use anything if it matches the value. It's a value for value. We're talking when it's not matching up to the value of the chamor. The chamor is worth $1 million, and the sheep is barely $2, right? Trezuzi, chad gadi, right? Kikamri was speaking shalei b'shavi when he's attempting to make the redemption, the swap with a sheep which doesn't match up to the value of the chamor. We meant to say like this: if you take that other route, the non-value route, so in that route you have to use exactly a seh. So you see, the Torah is makpid, and since there's such specificity, we'll assume the Torah is particular about not using it until you do it right. Says the more really very meiser. I'll give you another example where Torah is specific and very exact in its requirements. Meiser sheni shekpidal of Torah because of Torah was mak that use a coin with a form on it. You can't just use a slug, all right. So there are requirements. Utanan, and we have a Mishnah. Rabbi Yehuda, I'm amazed kiddush. Listen to this. Rabbi Yehuda himself speaking, and he says, look, if you take Meiser sheni, you give it to the woman in lieu of a ring, right? Under the chuppah, you give her a sack of bananas for Maser Sheni material for Kiddushin. It works. But amazing, if he did it knowingly, it works. Okay, so despite it being Maser Sheni, and despite the very specific, precise pidyon requirements, apparently it's mutar bahano. Well, but petach hamar nami mekacha. You're right. Guess what? If you do the same with petach hamar, you give it to the woman instead of a ring, it works. Despite the fact that perhaps it's asher bahano. Why? Why? It's Rabbi Lazar, in line with Rabbi Lazar's explanation. Don't Rabbi Lazar, you know why it works with Maser Sheni? I mean, you'd think it doesn't work because what benefit does she have from it? She has to take it to Yerushalayim. Isha yadas, the woman knows full and well. Shein Maser Sheni meschal al yada. She knows that despite the fact that this fellow gave it to her in lieu of a ring, it doesn't lose its kedusha, and she's going to have to take it to Yerushalayim. We're talking that she knows that it's Maser Sheni. V'oilo v'chlasa b'Yerushalayim. She plans on making a trip. She knows she's traveling to Yerushalayim, and she's going to take it up with her. So that's the benefit that she has from it. You know what? The same exact principle can be applied to Betach Hamar. Isha yadas, the Betach Hamar isura ispe. She knows full and well Petach Hamar is asur. Perhaps if we're going with that approach, it's really asur. But she also knows the halacha. She went to Beis Yaakov, she knows. She has this goat in her backyard, she'll use it as a pidyon. And the surplus value of the chamar over that seh is what she's counting on for kedushin and mekansha, and she's willingly accepting it as a kedushin b'hach de beni beni, because of the value of the chamar over that seh. So bottom line, yeah, you can use even something which is technically asher b'hana for kedushin, if there's some gain or benefit for the isha from that item. In any case, Rabbi Yehuda holds petach hamar is asher b'hana until you do pidyon. No, Rab Shimon disagrees. What's his position based on? My timer. Amar Ula, he says just the opposite. How could you say petach hamar is asher b'hana pre pidyon? Amar Ula yesh l'cha davar shepidyonim mutar hu asher. Do you then find a case? Give me an example of something where the pidyon, the item used to exchange that original entity, will be mutar, vu asr, and the original should be asr, meaning, since these used to swap the petach hamar is given to the kohen as his personal belonging, it's fully okay. That's indicative that the original petach hamar had no isser either. Otherwise, there would be a transfer of isser from the original to the exchange. The fact is, the exchange is mutar. Apparently, the original is mutar too. V'loi, really, you don't find the exchange should be mutar, but the original should remain asr. Very shvius. Shvius produce, right? Fruit that grew on the 7th year, the pidyonim mutar. Be asur. You swap it for something, right? You sell the shvius produce. The money is mutar, and the v'asura, but the original fruit remains still retains its kedusha, its shvius status, and has to be eaten with before the deadline, while it's still available, while this type of food is still available out there for the animals. So no, shvius nami be done asur. Actually, the exchange of a shvius is also asur. The Mamaz, we learned ha'achron asur, fellow exchanges. A whole string of exchanges. He takes the shvius fruit and uses it to buy meat, and uses the meat to buy wine, uses the wine to buy oil. So the last item on the list, which is considered ultimately the exchange for the first one, is considered has kedusha shvius, just as the original shvius material retains its kedusha. So there goes our question. We thought we had a kasha. We thought we had an example of something where the pidyon is mutter and the original is asr. Actually, the pidyon is also asr. Okay, so basically that's Reb Shimon's perspective. He says, look, the fact that the seh given exchange for the chamor is mutter, apparently the chamor himself has no isser. Okay, so just to recap, what's the status of the petach chamor pre-pidyon? Rabbi Yehuda says asr b'hana, Reb Shimon says mutter b'hana, and it was based on svaros, on logic. There's another way to explain this machlekes. It's based on the pesukim, sourced in verses. It's a question how to learn the next pasuk. The sanya, as we find in a brayso. So there's a pasuk regarding a firstborn kosher animal, which reads like this: Loi savoid B'Bechor Sharecha, you should not work with the firstborn, bull, which has Kedushas Bechor, nor V'lo Sogois Bechor Tzonecha, should you share the firstborn, tzoin, sheep or goat, right? Now, why Sharecha? Why accentuate that it's yours? Why Tzonecha? What's that coming to emphasize? Says Rabbi Yehuda, it's coming to exempt an animal born from a partnership between yourself and a guy. But you can work with an animal, even if it's firstborn, if it belongs partially to you and partially to acherim, to the goyim. Now Rashi points out, even though Rabbi Yehuda, back on the page, did not exempt a bechor born from a partnership between a yid and a guy. Yeah, that's regarding your monetary obligation. You have to send a check to the kohen, reflective of a value of half that animal, your part. But inherently, the animal is not kaddish because the guy's presence exempts it from kaddish. And likewise, regarding a firstborn son, you shouldn't share the firstborn kosher if it's completely Jewish owned. But if there's a partnership, it's exempt from kedusha. What the guy says, you can share if there's a partnership. So according to Rebbe, there's no reference or allusion in the pasuk for a status of a petach hamor before pidyon. We're not discussing that. Rabbi Shimon, he has a different approach. He says the pasuk is allowing us to have enough from b'chor adam, firstborn son. There's no iser hana there, and like Sogis b'chor tzenecha. It's coming to exempt. Firstborn kosher animal is inherently kosher, it belongs to the mizbeach, but a b'chor chamor, even pre-pidyon, you can have enough from it. Hence, Rabbi Shimon's position that it's mutar b'hanah before pidyon. Now, Bishlam Rabbi Shimon, according to Rabbi Shimon, there are two parts to the pasuk, and each one teaches us something else. One is to exempt b'chor adam from Israel, one is to exempt b'chor chamor. El Rabbi Yehuda Kroi L'muti Shalchav Shalchem Lamali. According to Rabbi Yehuda, the pasuk is simply a recurring theme, exempting the guy's partnership with respect to b'chor shar, with respect to tzoin. It just seems like a repetition, the same exact exemption twice. V'su, another question, Rabbi Yehuda b'chor adam nami leim with the asr. According to Rabbi Yehuda, there's no exemption for b'chor adam to be mutar b'hanah, so perhaps it's asr b'hanah. Ella, rather, it's like this: the kuli almo sharcha l'muti b'chor adam with asr. All agree that part one of the pasuk, Sharcha, is exempting b'chor adam, you could have enough from him. Kipligi b'tzoincha. The question is how to apply the second part of the pasuk. The Rebbe is going like his sheet. The Damur says, even if there's a good partnership, it's still chayv in b'chor. So you would think that it's a full-blown b'chor, even with a partnership. And that's why the Torah has to go out of its way and say, look, despite the fact that it has some b'chor status to it, financially at least, but lemishri, because of avodah, to allow sharing it and working with it. Reb Shimon says, well, in any case, there's even a partial ownership by a guy exempts the entire thing. Reb Shimon says, it's totally exempt. There's no element of a b'chor at all. So why bother allowing its use? It's not a b'chor. There's no need for the pasuk to point out to allow using it. Rather, the pasuk is exempting petach hamar from Israel. No, hence his source. Now, Bishlam Rabbi Yehuda, see, according to Rabbi Yehuda, the punchline of the pasuk is tzoncha, completely owned by a yid. Then it has kedusha, but otherwise, if it's not tzoncha, if there's a partnership with a guy, it's exempt. So in part B of the pasuk, tzoncha is very critical. That's the pivotal point of the pasuk. So the question is, why in the first part of the pasuk by sharcha does it say sharcha? What's the cha coming to tell you? Sharcha to tzoncha on account of tzoncha, just matching language. If you needed to say tzoncha, so it starts with sharcha as well. El Reb Shimon, according to Reb Shimon, there's no message in sharcha, in the chaf, and tzoncha, because again, according to Reb Shimon, the first part of the pasuk is simply exempting b'chor adam, And the second part of the pasuk is exempting Petach Hamor. It could have just said shor. Don't work with the shor. That exempts the Adam. Don't work with the tzayin. That exempts the Hamor. So why cha? Why cha? In both instances. It's an unresolved question. Okay, so in a nutshell, a fellow had a firstborn donkey. He has to do a pidyon and hand the pidyon to the kohen. So there's a suffix involved. He still has to do pidyon to exempt him from the isser, but in terms of the actual tzileh, he can keep it. Now, why bother doing the pidyon? Because there's isser. There's isser. Evidently, going like Rabbi Yehuda, who says that the chamor is asr pre-pidyon. It's based either on a svara. We don't find that there should be so specific and precise in its requirement if it would be mutar bahano, or it's based on a pasuk. Basically, the way Rabbi Yehuda learns the pasuk, there's no exemption to allow petach hamor bahano. Whereas according to Rabbi Shimon, he says petach hamor is mutar bahano even before pidyon. Because according to him, there's a svara going the other way. If the seh, which is the exchange, is okay, apparently there's no isra to begin with. Otherwise, it would transfer to the exchange. Or because he has a pasuk to exempt petach hamor from isra hanoah. Turns out that our Mishnah, which describes a double birth, twin zacharim, where only one is kaddish, not going to Rabbi Zeglili, because according to him, Eshel Samson could have been we could assume it's a double header. Or at least that Taisus points out, even if we're not sure, right? At least the chance. So you would have had to treat it like a suffix. So one goes to the kohen and the other one, right, you would keep. But you still have to make the swap, right? Because there's a possibility that it's a real simultaneous double header. So you have to treat it as a suffix. One is certainly, and one is a suffix. In fact, the Mishnah just treats one as kaddish and just ignore the other one. Apparently, we're not going to respect Lili. Only one is kaddish. What about the chatzitza issue? Okay, we'll pick it up tomorrow, B'ez Hashem. All the best to you, and hatzlacha rabbah.